All right, so today we're here for the post observation, and I want to tell you, Anna, thank you so much for letting me observe your class and letting me video our discussions.
You're almost welcome.
In your class, I just want to let you know that when I was observing, I was really impressed about the engagement of your students. They were engaged. They were, when you gave it was a review, I know, but you kind of reviewed them with some of the important key parts, and you're a fantastic history lecturer. I observed every student, and they were listening to you tell this story, so that was really cool. But in reflecting about the lesson, what did you find that was exciting, surprising, or maybe frustrating?
Well, I've been doing this for a while, and I think it's always surprising to hear new interpretation of things. So I think pretty much every year in one lesson or another, or several throughout the year, the students will surprise me with a new way of answering a question that I hadn't thought about. So it's always very enriching.
Okay. What about, was there anything that was frustrating about this lesson? In general, it's a quiet class, and I have to force them to participate. Part of it is that it's first period, and part of it is just personality, I suppose. Part of it is just the age. It's very difficult for them to believe me when I tell them that they learn more from their mistakes than when they get it right, and that the time to get it wrong is during class. And it's a way also for them to figure out what they are understanding and what they are not understanding when they try to explain it to me. Still, they don't want to make fools of themselves in front of their classmates, and so it's always hard to get them to participate. Even though most of the time I think their answers are rather good. Okay.
So I have to force some participation, and I don't like it.
Okay. Well, I the day I observed, our internet had gone out. So
yes.
Was that frustrating for you? That
That
really
was frustrating because they had so they had started working on their answers the day before, and their answers were in an electronic document that they could not reach because the internet was down. So some of them had some offline version of their answers. I gave them all the readings again for them to go over it and sort of refresh their own memories, but well, I guess that made it even quieter.
Yeah.
The fact that they had to, quote unquote, improvise. I mean, this is the second time they're going over it, so
right.
They should have been somewhat familiar with the information, but it makes it harder for them, I suppose, yeah.
Yeah, when they're used to doing it a certain way.
Yeah.
I could see that. So I have to ask you, because I think this is kind of important, like, when you have a lesson videoed and you go through this whole process, what did you learn about yourself through this experience?
Sure. Let's see. I think well, in a way, you're forced to reflect probably more than you would on a daily basis. I think for the most part, I do reflect on my lessons, but especially when I don't think they went well. It's harder to reflect on the lessons that went well. And overall, I think the lesson that you videoed went well, even with the glitches like the internet not working and whatever. I got a lot of good answers from the students, and I think there was a good understanding of the standards and whatnot that we were discussing. And so it helps to reflect about the things that go well, because then you can try to incorporate those into those lessons you're reflecting about that didn't go so well. And that's something I do a lot less. So
Okay. All right. That's good. So you talked about, having the kids participate. Sometimes it's hard. Um, it, what might you have done differently, or could it do differently in the future for participation? Have you thought of other ideas?
well, you only observe one class, right? And you cannot use the same methods every day. So there's always a battle between being consistent and not making it too boring because every day is the same thing. So there are several ways. They have clickers. And so sometimes I have very short, 4-question reviews that they have to do on their clickers. Some of those are based on lectures, some of those are based on readings. The way I usually use those is I ask them to try by themselves first, do their own thing, and then I let them talk to one another to review their answers before they submit it, so that they can try to get 100% by explaining to one another why they chose one answer instead of another. Pair sharing, sometimes group sharing, so I change the seating arrangements every so often. So not just who they're sitting with, but also the layout of the classroom.
So you let them pick their pairs, and then sometimes you pick their
Exactly. Or sometimes they're sitting in pairs, and sometimes they're sitting in groups of 4.
Okay.
So that the interactions change. Usually they can write their answers before they have to give them out loud, but sometimes, especially during a lecture, I will just ask what they're thinking without giving them a chance to really reflect or write it down. So, there are different ways. For this particular lesson, it would have been better if it had not been cut off in 2 periods, I think. But sometimes you cannot help it.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, and I know we had talked about maybe looking at some work samples, but I also know that our time is, my time is limited, so we're not going to get to do that today.
Right.
But I really appreciate you taking the time and helping me, and hopefully it helps you a little bit. I don't know.
I did collect it, and so it's in electronic format. If you ever have a need,
Okay.
it's there.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're most welcome.